Right, hi, in this video, I'll be talking to Ed Gazmen, who's a pastor and entrepreneur, and he's been his own boss, a businessman, and pastor for a few decades now. And he talks about the pros, not so much the cons, but the pros of being your own boss and how you can actually make more money doing what you love doing and not working for somebody else and being miserable and being unhappy and not getting what you're due. And there's a lot of people who, including myself, who I was working for other people, and I look back at my life and I wasn't really happy. I didn't make a lot of money. I mean, I was okay, but I look back and I think if I worked hard, extra hard on what I really wanted to do, and we'll cover that later. But I probably would be happier. I'd probably have more money to invest and whatnot. And it talks about that being not just an entrepreneur, but a pastorpreneur, because he's also a pastor. And everything he does in business, he puts like the Bible in there or God's word in there. And here you go, Ed Gazmen from Maui talking about what he does. I need to hear this testimony. It's testimony. Yeah?
Because it's realistic. It's what the world is today. So why am I still self-employed? I'm 80 years old. I mean, I go to Halimakua for my ministry, and I see people that are 75 years old sitting there, saliva drooling out of their mouth. They're not as blessed as I am. I have a lot of energy and everything, and I attribute that to the Lord also. But the thing is, why am I self-employed? Well, let me tell you a personal testimony. From 79 to 2010, I worked in the industry of financial planning. And you would imagine guys like us, we have information at our fingertip, especially with computers. It's not like before. Somebody asked me a question, I got to tell them I'll get back with you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Nowadays, somebody asks you a question,
It's right
they
there.
expect the answer before the last word come out of their mouth.
Yeah.
So I advise countless of people. I advise them what to do, how to prepare for your retirement, this and that. But you know what? I tried to do the same thing, but the fact is, I wasn't prepared for inflation to be as bad as this, even though in those days when I was teaching people about financial planning, I always inputted inflation. It's gonna go up. Taxes will go up. But I did not realize that in my lifetime I would see buying 18 pieces of eggs for $15. That is not even in my mindset.
Didn't see it coming.
Yeah, so it caught me unprepared. And so I'm looking at our finances. We still have a mortgage. All my kids are grown up. They have good jobs. But the thing is, I want to be in a position to bless my family, whether they need my money or not. But as a father, I enjoy sliding my son $100 for his gas money. I'm sure he appreciates that. So I went back to financial planning. Not only did I go back to financial planning, but I found out that they have concepts and products that can really, really help the consumer. The only problem is the word doesn't get back to the consumer. And somebody asked me after I did a demonstration of what we can do for them. They say, Ed, how come they don't tell us that? How come the government don't tell us that? I said, because the government wants your money. They don't want to see when you invest in a product like the way we do it. You invest with an insurance company, and they have to be at least 100 years old. These guys are not flaky company that comes and goes. They've been around. They have been They have withstood the test of time, the, the depression years. They flourish. When everybody was jumping out the window because they were losing money, the insurance companies flourish. So this is where the product is not in, it's part insurance, but we found out that there are certain rules in the IRS that if we learn how to use that, we can apply it to this accumulation plan. And you can have your money sitting in there tax free. They're not going to tax you when you leave it there. And when you go out, when the money comes out, they will not tax you. So because it's tax free, it's leverage. It's called the compounding interest. Compounding interest is so awesome that by the time you take the money out, you can actually program it so that you can tell the company to pay you a monthly income for the rest of your life. It will never run out of money. So can you imagine having your own private retirement plan in addition to your SS and in addition to what you ever did in the past? You put them all together. Okay, that's how you can survive in these economic times. If people only survive on thank God for Social Security, but they mismanage it. And in 2036, as I shared with you, we are in trouble. It's going to run out. So can you imagine if I'm still alive, I get a letter. I say, Mr. Gazmen, it's 2036 due to unforeseen circumstances. They don't tell you what that is, but I call it government overspending. We used up your Social Security. Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're 95 years old. You go back and work part-time at Costco. You could, if you don't mind doing that. But what are you going to do? That's a calamity that most of us are not aware of. And the government is not warning you because they cannot tax the money that you leave with the insurance companies. They cannot tax that because it's a private contract between you and the insurance company. They cannot tax that. So, yeah, so it's our desire to help as many people. And that's why I came back to to doing this, because I feel an obligation that when I was fully engaged in selling financial products, I did not know about this, so I sold them things that I know some of those products, they're gonna turn into pumpkin within 20 years. I don't wanna admit that, but I got them the wrong product because I was interested in my commission. No? So the value lies within the individual's value mindset. Okay? Now, when I talk about working for people or working for the hotel, I don't have anything against that. It's just that I make a comparison. Because when you work for somebody, it's obvious that if you want that promotion, you gotta wait until your boss croaks before you get there. It might take 20 years, who knows? If your boss decides to work there till 100 years old, then by the time you take over, you should be about 85. Okay? So you're dependent on the guy that you're trying to replace to get a better life. Okay? So that's one thing about being employed. So not only that, but you have creative ideas as an employee. But the fact is, if you were to present that ideas to your boss, unless you impress them, they're not going to listen to you. So you don't have the ability to express yourself as a human being, okay? Because you're not the owner. Thirdly is, with inflation and the cost of living going high, you cannot keep up with inflation. Yeah, you might be making $25 an hour today, and that is pretty good, but inflation hits you down the road. That $25 is almost worth $5. Okay. Number three, most people they don't love their job. Why do you think that song is Aloha Friday, no more work till Monday? Why do you think it's so popular?
Because everybody hates working for somebody, right?
That's right.
Weekend
They
comes.
hate it.
Yeah.
They hate it.
Most people hate their jobs.
Most people hate their job. So now let's turn into the self-employed. Okay. You need to find something that excites you. Don't go into business or be self-employed just because that industry is making money. Okay. Let's say you hear about this IT thing, and they make $100 an hour. I said, man, I can make a lot of money out of that. So you apply for that and you got it. So now you're making $100 an hour. Let me ask you, 5 years from now, what are you gonna think? Gee, I'm worth more than $100. Because people are not satisfied with what they have. We're always wanting to get more money. So money, as a self-employed individual, I stress because I used to teach. At one time, I teach a seminar on homeless people, how to be joyously unemployed. I show the homeless people how they can be an entrepreneur. So it's a mindset, Ron. It's a mindset. It goes beyond how much money you can make. It goes beyond that. There's a lot of factors why self-employment, to me, is the greatest thing, because self-employment works in our country because we are still a great country. The free entrepreneur spirit is still there. You can come in from Ukraine, a refugee from the war, cannot speak English, and if you are tenacious and you have the right mindset, you can be very successful in our country. And that's why I'm not afraid to tell people, you have to go into self-employment, because relying on your job alone is not going to give you security. And of course, I don't tell them to quit their regular job now, but the thing is, they can quit it down the road if they're making $5,000 steady, you know. So, the freedom of lifestyle. And if you're married, you know how it is to miss your kids' a baseball game. You know, you feel bad because you got to work. Or there's a funeral in your family, you have to beg the boss to get you off. See, I don't have that problem. Somebody dies, I look at the date. On that date, I go and I'm out there. I don't have to ask anybody to take off the work.
You're your own boss.
Be your own boss. Now, let me also caution you though, that it's not easy peasy. You gotta work. You know, people tell me, yeah, I wanna be my own boss, I can make $5,000 a month. I said, that's fine, but let me ask you this. As an employee, if your employer gives you $5,000 a month, do you think he's gonna be expecting a lot from you? Yeah, he's gonna drain you. He's gonna drain your blood. He's gonna tell you, Ron, you gotta work 10 hours, or you gotta go here for 5,000. Well, the same thing with business.
And he cannot write that off too, right? A lot of times.
You cannot write it off. But with business, you want to make $5,000 a month, you gotta work hard.
Oh yeah.
But you work smart.
Right.
There's a difference.
And there's a difference because, like most wealthy people I know that I meet, they are entrepreneurs. They have their own business. You know.
Yeah, we call it leveraging your time.
Yeah, and the talent.
That's one of the incredible things about being self-employed. You can leverage your time. For example, you have a business and you employ 20 guys, okay? Well, you can afford to be out of the office because you got 20 guys working just like you, because you trained them. So now there's 20 Ron Sombranos out there motivated, making money for themselves, and at the same time they make money for you. What a good deal, huh?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and including me, we forget we are in America. There's no place else you can do that. Like you said, a refugee. I mean, just go back to the olden days when a Japanese guy come to the plantation. Yeah, I don't want to work for the Luna. He's gonna sell rice in a little shop. Next thing he gets spam and rice or whatever, fish.
Ron, let me tell you this. I know a guy that's self-employed. He sells cars, but he's self-employed. One day I went to the car dealer. You know where they have employee of the month, they put your picture.
Yeah.
Out of the 12 months, 11 months, his picture was there. And I told my wife, look at this, honey. He's self-employed. He's not dependent on anybody. He's dependent. All is depending is number one, the passion that they have. Number two, certain skills, communication skills, and number two, understanding the product. That's all you need. Understanding the product knowledge, communication skills, and what I call CCP, capacity for continuous performance. You gotta do it every day, every day.
Well, that's true. I mean, just like anybody, like, your favorite doctor. He started his practice, 40 years ago, and people complain, oh, he's traveling the world. Well, he's traveling the world because he owns the business.
That's right.
You work for him, you're not going to travel the world. Especially nowadays, employers don't give benefits. That's another one.
See, the problem with our society, Ronald, is we have been programmed to have the servant mentality. Dependent. In the old days, in the plantation days, I tell you what, servant mentality.
Kind of like slave mentality. Almost.
In the plantation days, my dad worked, okay, but the company takes care of their housing. Mm-hmm. Back in Lahaina Pump, you pay what, $1 a year?
Something like that, yeah.
So you dependent on that. You dependent on them paying your bills. You dependent on even shopping for food because they would have the truck that go to the camps. And you order and you give your bongo number. At the end of the month, they'll take that amount of money that you use out of your paycheck. So we're all dependent on that.
Yeah.
And especially certain races, they are dependent on being a servant workers. So that's why you'll find them in the hotels. And nothing wrong with that. I thank God that we have certain cultural ethnic group that work in the hotel because we need the hotels to keep our economy alive. But what I'm trying to say is, once you're dependent on your employer, then you're afraid to venture out because you're afraid it's not going to work out.
Right.
Yeah. But imagine hundreds and hundreds of people every day, the food truck. We see them, they're saying, well, why not? I want to be self-employed. And they're doing it, so that it can be done. Mm-hmm. It can be done. Just find the right mentor, so you're not wasting your time. Okay, life coaching, like everything in life, is not guaranteed that you will like it. You might, after this interview, you might listen to what I have to say about life coaching. And you might get so excited that you probably want to try it. But the thing is, instead of wanting to be a life coach, first we need to think about inward. Draw out questions that will draw out your values. That's the most important. If you identify the values they have, the rest will follow. Some people they like people. They like to ball out. They like to talk story. Even if they're walking down the road and there's nobody there, they'll wave their hands as if they're running for politics. That's the kind of people they are. They love people. Some people in the LA, they want to know about you.
Nosy.
Are you left-handed or right-handed? How many times you've been married? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Some people are just like that. Some people are very friendly. Some people are able to adjust to a conversation. They can sound highly intelligent talking to a CEO. At the same time, they can converse with the homeless. There is no problem with that. So all I'm saying is that find those skills first. And then once you feel that this is something that you want to do, pursue it. Pursue it. Because life coaching, to me, is one of the most gratifying thing that you'll ever do. Coaching, counseling, because those are some of the skill sets that I have. God gave me certain gifts, just like God gives you certain gifts. Some of you are good with your hands. You can fix things. I cannot. My wife does all the mechanical work at home. Seriously, I don't.
She has the toolbox. And you get the microphone.
As a matter of fact, one Christmas I gave him one of those tool set that you put around your waist.
The best.
Yeah. So anyway, but how would you feel if somebody came to you and they were seeking some kind of feedback because of their situation, and by by interacting with them, all of a sudden the light comes on, and he just wow. So he goes out and do what you suggested, even though you yourself you weren't too convinced that that was the right decision. But somehow you open your mouth and you came out with this so-called solution. He goes out, turns around, does it, and bam, changed his life completely. No, that happened to me. Somebody called me out of the blues. He heard, as a matter of fact, when you interviewed me years ago concerning life coaching, and you gave out my number. He called, and he was a Kutonk, Japanese from the mainland, but his roots are here on Maui. But his mom is still there. No. His family is still in the mainland,
Right.
but his mom is here, and she needs help. She needs to be taken care of, and so he was torn between his children and here. And all I asked him was one innocent question. I said, in your culture, in your Japanese culture, isn't it do you take it upon yourself the responsibility to take care of your family, your mom and dad? He said, yeah. He was quiet. Then he said, thanks a lot. Listen, I thought maybe I offended. Well, a few weeks later, he called back and said, Ed, I made that decision. I'm staying with my mom to take care of him. And because of that, he felt so much like the weight was taken off from guilt because he's not to be with his children. I'm sure down the road he'll probably go back there when the mom dies. But for now, that coaching made a big difference in his life. So that's the kind of experience that you as a coach you'll have. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. You see Tony Robbins and everything, and these guys are coaches and they make $100,000. I don't know if you want to be in the coaching. I don't know if you'll ever make that kind of money, $100,000 an hour. A month.
Right.
But all I know is if you really love what you're doing, you'll be the happiest guy in the whole world.
Well, like you said, with any business, it's not about really, and I've been studying a lot of entrepreneurs. It's really not about, well, it is about the money. You got to make money.
Sure.
But a lot of people, it's the passion of what they do.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people where they went to medical school, trying to get their degree in being a surgeon. And it's like, I don't want to do that. And they take off the mom and dad. What are they going to do? They're going to open up a food truck. Because they're more passionate about food.
Mm-hmm.
But they delve in it 110%, and then they become successful.
Yeah.
That's basically the recipe, right? Because once you think about money, it really doesn't work.
Well, money is only important to the person that has a certain value. For example, so in my ministry, I go to the Philippines.
Yeah.
I don't go to Manila because they're a little bit more sophisticated.
Right, it's a
and
city,
everything.
metropolitan.
But you go to the provinces and you actually see how people live. Well, if we stay in the hotel, so I ask a lot of the hotel people, the employees, how much they make a day. They make about to $8 a day.
Right. That's US dollars, yeah.
Yeah, U.S. dollars. You can convert that into 56 peso, and you'll know how much they make. But the thing is this: they don't think they're poor. You understand what I'm telling you?
Yeah, yeah.
We think they're poor because we come from a place where, you bought a Starbucks. This sucker is about $5.
Right.
They buy Starbucks in the Philippines costing this much, and they're rent you the whole day salary. In their mind, they're not poor, but they're happy because all their needs are met.
Right.
Because it's not extravagant.
Right, right.
They're not walking around with, with designer little things. So,
But they're decent. They have a decent life.
yeah, so it all depends on the attitude. You
Right.
can live in America and be making a lot of money and still be unhappy.
Yeah,
As a
and
matter,
there's-
as a matter of fact, years ago, they interviewed, was it Warren or Howard Hughes? At one time, before the advent of computers, Howard Hughes was reputedly one of the richest guys in the whole world. And a reporter asked him, he said, Mr. Hughes, with all the money that you have, he said, how much more do you need? You know what he said? And this is the problem of our heart. He said, I need more money. I always need money. So what is the moral story to that? Well, you can be making 50,000 a month, but you still can be unhappy. So money doesn't solve everything. Or you can be making $1,000 a month and you can be happy.
Yeah.
You downsize your life activity. I told a friend of mine, because he's single and he's going to retire, I said, go back to the Philippines. He's not Filipino. Go back, but I took him for the ministry so he can see the country. So go back to the Philippines, retire there. He's single, he doesn't have any family. You make $1,500 a month with Social Security, I'll guarantee you, you will live very, very comfortable in the province.
Right.
So money is what we make of it, Ron.